Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to QGTV. Today we're on day 25 of Ramadan 2011. But before I continue, I'd like to make just a brief announcement. Unfortunately, I just realized that Ramadan this year will be only 29 days. So that takes away one day from our scheduled analysis. But compounded with that is the fact that I was actually misreading my schedule before this, and that effectively takes away 2 days from my schedule. What this means is that I will not be able to do the last 2 days analysis, which comprises of the last 2 juz. So the last 2 days is exactly 2 juzes long, 2 parts long. That's from one of the days is from chapter 67 to chapter 77, and the last day is from chapter 78 to 114. The good news about this is the fact that these chapters are quite short anyway, and therefore doing a chapter block study will not do them justice. So it's probably best for me to prepare another day where I can approach them in detail and then weave them together as a chapter block. So we'll try that instead after Ramadan. So this is day 25, and we have 5 days to go before we finish out Ramadan 2011. So let's begin with chapter 50, and today we'll be doing chapter 50, 51 and 52. 50 is Qaf, 51 is Adh-Dhariyat, and 52 is At-Tur. Let's begin. Right, these 3 chapters, chapters 50, 51 and 52, are very heavily laden with the hour, or the last day. This can be interpreted in various ways, but I do believe that this makes these 3 chapters effectively like a triplet of chapters. Tomorrow when we do chapter 53, we will see that there is a departure in the theme. And chapter 54 as well, there is a departure in the theme, but not that big a departure. So we begin with chapter 50, Qaf. It starts with Qaf, wal Quran al-Majid. Qaf and the Quran which is wajad, which is founded. So the Quran is something which you can immediately find. The reading is something existent, and the response to this is bal ajibu an ja'ahum munzir minhum فقال الكافرون هذا شيء عجيب. So the people who are concealers, they are shocked that the reading which is brought by the warner is something which is actually touching their own lives. So they're a bit shocked by that, and they respond by saying, when we die and become dust, shall we live again? So we've already this is a return which is far away from us. It's something which they cannot even conceive. And the response is by God. God responds by saying, قَدْ عَلِّمْنَا مَا تَنْقُصُ الْأَرْضِ مِنْهُمْ. We know how much al-ard takes away from them. Now here we can see that al-ard refers to the society which they belong. Society or socialization takes away from them that primordial knowledge. However, Allah says, وَعِنْدَنَا kitabun hafiz. So with Allah, in the sight of Allah, is a book which is guarding, so they cannot escape this. Then it continues, bal kadhabu bil haq. Verily they belie, or they stop the truth when it comes to them, and they are in a confused state. So this is the state of the people who have, they cannot accept the discourses given by Al-Quran al-Majid. Next we have verse 6 to 11, which gives natural metaphors as examples of sustenance for the servants of God. So we need to look at these natural phenomenon and understand how we are sustained by Allah. When we do that, we arrive at a realization that we will be resurrected. Before these people who reject, there are the people of Nuh and the Ashabul Ras wa Thamud. So there are people who have been referenced in other places in the Quran, and the Ad and and Fir'aun and the brethren of Lut and the companions of the wood, Ashabul Aikah wa Qawm Tuba wa kulluhum kadhaba ar-rusul fa haqqa wa'id. So these people, they rejected all the messengers. So the reason why they rejected the messengers is the fact that they cannot conceive of a resurrection. Now, could this be the resurrection in an earthly life, meaning a resurrection of their society, because their society has gone so far down it cannot reform? Or it could be the resurrection, the bodily resurrection after the hour has come to the entire universe. Next, a very famous verse, which is unfortunately quoted usually just in halves. It says, this is verse 16, which says, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ, verily we created or evolved al-insan, وَنَعْلَمُ مَا تُوَسْوِسُ بِهِ نَفْسُهُ, and we know what is whispering with him, his soul. وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ, and we are nearer to him than his jugular vein. So here Allah talks about our soul and how our soul is whispering to us constantly, taking us away from the path. And there are two mutallaqain, which are noting down on our right, al-yamin, so our righteous way, and on our left, and in our unrighteous way. So whatever it is we say, it is being watched. So, and the stupor of death, sakratul maut, it will bring us this reality. This was the thing which you were trying to escape, Allah says. And then the trumpet will be blown. So this is talking about now Judgment Day is coming. So the chapter continues with the exposition of Judgment Day, and it sums it up at the end in verse 43, which says, Inna nahnu nuhyi wa numit, verily it is we who give life and death, wa ilayna al-masir, and it is to us is the goal. Yawma tashaqqaqu al-ard anhum sira'an. So the earth will be rent asunder. Dhalika hashrun alayna yasir. That will be the gathering, and on us it is easy. So that is, now we're talking really about Judgment Day. What is the response to this? Allah says in the last verse, Nahnu a'lamu bima yaqulun. Verily we know what it is they speak of. وَمَا أَنْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ بِجَبَارٍ. This is speaking to the Prophet. He is not a compeller over them. In fact, it speaks to all of us. We are not compellers over anyone. فَذَكِّرْ بِالْقُرْآنِ. So we are to vivify with the Quran. Quran al-Majid. This is the beginning of the chapter, we see it. وَالْقُرْآنُ الْمَجِيدِ Qaf وَالْقُرْآنُ الْمَجِيدِ. So we bring our current reading into practice. And here Allah says, فَذَكِّرْ بِالْقُرْآنِ, vivify with the Quran. مَنْ يَخَافُ وَعِيدٍ. So vivify those who fear our warning. So these people who have already taken God off this promise of the judgment day, they are to be vivified with the current reading. The current reading is the reading which answers your current questions, and this is what you need to respond with. So this is our overview of chapter 50. We now move on to chapter 51.